Hello, my name is Mauricio Sulaimán, José Sulaiman's son, and president of the World Boxing Council, the WBC. Today is my second podcast. I'm very excited about it, and I have selected a very hot topic, which is scoring in boxing. We have seen in recent months a wide variety of fights in which there have been split decisions, majority decisions. We have seen one judge go all the way towards one fighter while another judge goes all the way to the other fighter. And this is the nature of our sport. Just as gymnastics and diving, these are perception sports in which the official can only score what he sees. I would like to start by completely saying that I believe that all judges are honorable people from around the world. They are family men. They are decent people. They may make mistakes. They may be incompetent. They may be having a difficult time in their personal lives, but in no way I can accept that a judge is corrupt or has done something to hurt one fighter or the other. Being that said, I would like to start by discussing the judge, where they sit. As you can see, they are at ringside, right next to the ring, and they are not necessarily sitting in the best seat of the house. The judge being down, looking at the actions up, with the ropes in the middle, with photographers on the side, with many times a low chair, a high chair. Every single arena is different. So that's a situation that if you compare that to, for example, in tennis, where they have a high chair, the judge can see everything perfectly. That's one handicap that the boxing judge has. Second, what is the difference between a judge and a fan, a journalist, any person watching a fight, whether it's at home or live? There are many differences. One, of course, where they sit. The judge only has the forefront vision. That's the only thing they have in front, the two fighters and the referee. While the person in first row already has another vision in front, and much to the other different sides in the arena, you have so many things that you can see other than just the action happening. Number two, the distractions. When you are watching a fight live or at home, you can be having distractions very easily with your girlfriend, your kids, beautiful girl passing by, the popcorn, the beer, anything that happens, contrary to the judge who is completely concentrated in the actions for the 3 minutes of the round. Another one is of course, the mental state and the physical state of mind exactly at fight time. A boxing judge must not have any alcohol drinks one day before the fight, and of course not the day of the fight. And us, when we watch the fight as fans, of course we like to have a beer, have fun. Maybe we had a late night in Vegas, but the judge is completely concentrated and sober on the actions. Of course, a fan, even media or experts, can have a favorite on that fight, not a boxing judge. When he is judging the fight, he must not have a favorite one way or the other. Even betting is a source of conflict. When you gamble, when you bet for one fighter to win, of course your emotions are completely different from the other that has no interest in the result of the fight. What the WBC, the NABF, the ABC, the different federations, what we do often is train ring officials to try to achieve uniformity, to teach them the criteria of scoring, and to have them speak the same language, to see the same things, even though you are in different parts of the ring. Being that said, I would like to explain what the criteria for scoring is, which is very simple. Punches. Scoring punches. That is the key. If you do not score a punch, there's nothing to evaluate. You can box beautifully, you can have great defense, but if you don't score punches, it is difficult to win a round. Of course, the quality and quantity of punches add to this equation. The effective aggressiveness. It doesn't matter if you go forward, backwards, or sideways. If you are scoring punches, it counts. Effective aggressiveness, not only aggressiveness. And then ring generalship. That's the last thing to consider as a judge, the last resource to evaluate when you're trying to determine who wins a round. Before going into the specific of scoring, I would like to tell you a little bit about the story of the scoring systems. Many years ago, it was the referee, the sole arbiter, who would raise the hand of the winner, of the person he thought won the fight. That was it. The referee was the sole judge of the fight. Eventually, there was the scoring referee and 2 judges. Then the WBC took the decision to stop the referee from scoring, to fully concentrate in the actions and the safety of the fighters. That's when we ended up with 3 judges. Scoring systems, there have been different systems, 20 points. The system by round, every round would get 1-0. Regardless if there were knockdowns, anything that would happen, it was only 1-0. And then there were 5-point system to the current universally used 10-point must system. It means when the round begins, both fighters have 10 points. At the end of the round, the winner of the round will have 10 points. The loser of the round will have 9, 8, 7, or 6 as a minimum. There's a lot of discussion about why not using more of those numbers, but that's a situation for another discussion. What the WBC has introduced lately is the scorecard. This is going to be shown in the screen, and what I'm going to try to explain is what we're trying to achieve in the judges scoring the fight is absolute concentration, and not only scoring numerical but also qualitative of that round. So you have the scorecard, you have one fighter, the other fighter, the number of the round, and then you have the points that the judge has to score at the end of the round. 10, 9. So that's a numerical scoring. But then comes the interesting thing that has brought great results. The judge must score whether it was a close round, whether it was moderate, decisive, or if it was a extreme decisive. Extreme decisive means it's a 10-8 round without a knockdown. Then you have the box for the knockdown. If there's a knockdown, you mark it, then it's a 10-8 round. And you have the space for the referee deduction. So very simple. To explain what a close round, it's a narrow margin of victory. It means it was one fighter doing barely enough to win the round over the other. It's narrow, not a great advantage. Then the moderate, which means it's a clear margin of victory. There was a clean fighter dominating the actions. It was nothing spectacular, just being dominating. And then the third is the decisive, in which it is absolutely clear that one fighter is the winner of the round without any questions. And then the extreme decisive, as I said, without being a knockdown, a complete battering from one to the other throughout the whole round. That would be a 10-8 round. So, some specifics. When there's a knockdown, you must score 10-8. Unless there's a clear beating from the fighter who had been knocked down to the other fighter. But a knockdown has to be considered like a home run, like a goal, like a touchdown. It's a extraordinary happening during a bout. So it has to be 10-8. 2 knockdowns, 10-7. 3 knockdowns, 10-6. Another thing that I like to share, because it is a common problem for a boxing judge. The understanding that each single round is scored separately. Each round is a different fight. And we find often that we as human beings, as persons evaluating something, the actions happening in the round that just happened could influence the scoring of the next or the following rounds. What I'm trying to say, when you have a good fight, close fight, nothing spectacular, and there's a knockdown, the fighter goes down, we often see that most following rounds will be scored in favor of the fighter who knocked down his opponent. Why? Because you have seen that the fighter went down, there was effect, and then it carries on to your mentality during the actions of the next or the following rounds. That's a mistake. A good judge has to completely separate what has happened on to the next bell and fully concentrate in the 3 minutes of that round. What happens in fights when we see a round that is very close, is won by fighter A, and then we see fighter B winning dominantly that round, 10-9, 10-9. And then we have a fight in which one fighter wins in very close margins, while the other fighter wins his rounds with a wider, more explosiveness and more drama. But still, those rounds are 10-9, 10-9. At the end, it confuses the fans because you take the whole fight and put it into one decision instead of understanding that it's round by round that is scored. Another common situation. We all have a favorite before the fight, the fan favorite or the absolute majority favorite, mostly when he's a champion or she's a champion. Everybody has in the mind that that fighter is going to win the fight. When you sit down as a judge, there's always that small feeling, oh, it's Canelo, it's Fury, it's Crawford. You have that sense that he's going to win the fight. Even when you're a human being and a judge, there's that little edge. So the first 1, 2, 3 rounds are very complicated. That's where the judges, we call it, they have to warm up. And it's very sensible because usually the first round at least, when there's not much action, when nothing much happened, is going to be scored for the favorite fighter or the A side or the well-known fighter. Good judges, good professionals have to be at the point, their warm-up, and they do not fall into that common thing that usually happens. I believe that boxing needs positive news. We need to understand that boxing is a perception guided scoring, and that there are close fights, there are close rounds. That's a reality. We complain as fans when there's a close fight and you listen to a score 118, 110, 117, 111, and even though you agree with the scoring of who won, you don't agree by the margin. That infuriates fans, and you are right. You want to see the best result from officiating. In football, in baseball, in tennis, in hockey, every single sport has human beings officiating, and there can be errors. But we have to be sensible, and we have to put in a balance. You will never hear the name of a judge when he scores right. But he has a bad night, he has a wrong scoring, and he's crucified by the media and the fans, and he's hated, and he's called all sort of names. So let's try to put a little bit of balance into what officiating is all about, and then we can move on with boxing. The WBC has a extreme concern on implementing a variety of things to help officiating, to help the transparency of the sport, and we're working very hard to implement worldwide. The open scoring after 4 rounds, after 8 rounds, has been a great success in most parts of the world. It gives both corners the opportunity to understand where they stand in the fight at the moment. They can adjust the strategy, they can adjust what they're doing, and they know what the judges are scoring. Then you have from the 8 to the 12 for the drama that people likes to see. Most countries use it as a partial scoring, that it's given only to the corners. Some countries like Japan, they show it in the billboards, they announce it by the ring announcer and even on television. The other thing that we have been using is the noise cancelling headphones. That is something that we have proven that it really has a very positive effect on the concentration of the judge. It takes away the influence of a very noisy crowd, or even by the strategy that we see in some countries that happens. There are countries, I'm not going to mention any, not to make any offense. There are some countries that put people around the judge that are screaming and clapping in favor of the local fighter. That has an influence. We have seen some countries where the TV announcer is right next to the judge. So it's going to be very hard to go against what the TV crew is scoring and watching. So all these things have worked very positively with the noise cancelling headphones and the open scoring. We will continue to try to train, to certify, and to continue to have a close relationship with the judges in order to evaluate every single performance, to have the feedback, and to go back and forth. We have the remote scoring, which has been a great success. You are invited to participate in it. And also, we have a petition for important fights to have 6 judges instead of 3. The more judges score a fight, the less the risk of a bad result at the end. This is Mauricio Sulaimán. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast about scoring, and I welcome any comment. We are open to always take ideas and put them into action, into practice, and make boxing better, most importantly, safer for the boxers. God bless. Thank you so much.